Hi, my name is Eric Rydin, Certified Sommelier and owner of Le Grand Triage on the Upper East Side. Today we're going to be talking about music. Vinyl in particular, we brought some paraphernalia to help us kind of elucidate the point. And particularly we're going to be talking about how vinyl has a lot in common with orange wine. They are both adored by hipsters. They both have been rendered obsolete by digital technologies or advanced technologies. And they are both delicious in your mouth face. Whole thing. Anyway, we're going to be talking a little bit about what these two actually really do have in common. I think they're very, very comparable in kind of their history and their trajectory as modern technologies have kind of wrestled with putting these things out of fashion. So we brought a California semi-orange that we call Lil Fizz to prove the point. So first off, what is orange wine? Is it made from oranges? The answer is, spoiler alert, no. Orange wines, I kind of don't like the verbiage orange wine. In Europe, we actually call them amber wines. Amber kind of referring to the color, right? So when you look at this, it's not exactly the same color as a white wine. It has a little bit of an orange hue, or again, in Europe, they call them amber wines. So zero oranges involved in the actual production of this. Essentially, the way orange wines are made is they're white wines that are made in the same way that a red wine is made. So basically, over 99% of all winemaking grapes have clear pulp, right? Including the red and the white grape varieties. So when we squish them, we get totally pure, clear juice. So the only way a red wine becomes red is with exposure to that red grape skin. So clear juice, exposure to red grape skin equals red wine. Well, when we actually make white wine, we crush our white grapes, we get that clear juice, but we remove the skin immediately, right? And when we remove that skin immediately, we get zero skin contact, we get no color, no influence from the actual white grape skin, right? And that's how a traditional white wine is made. So what is orange wine? Orange wine are white grapes that after we crush them and we get that clear juice, we're exposing that clear juice to the white grape skin. However, white grape skins aren't white, right? They're more of like a yellow or greenish hue. So when we expose that clear juice to those white grape skins, we pick up a little bit of color. And that color is usually, well, orange or amber, right? Hence the name both here and in Europe. Orange wine really represents this old school style of winemaking that really originated in Central and Eastern Europe. Once upon a time, back in those days, we didn't have the ability to actually separate that clear juice from the skin immediately. And that's why it actually started to pick up that little bit of color. However, as technology started to advance, we were able to make cleaner, brighter white wines, kind of like the Sauvignon Blancs, Pinot Grigios, and Chardonnays that we know today. And particularly as people started to gain an affinity for those flavors, those original old school orange wines with the skin contact from Central and Eastern Europe were actually started to be considered flawed, right? That kind of winemaking was not just old school, but actually incorrect, right? And so what's really interesting is that similar comparison to, let's say, vinyl, right? Which was the technology at the time, but as things started to progress and we were able to make things smaller, faster, et cetera, when we're looking at the height of this like technology revolution, we're looking at this as perhaps a obsolete and maybe even one could argue flawed technology. However, right, for vinyl, it's really kind of fallen into a total renaissance in the 21st century to celebrate the nostalgia factor, to celebrate even some of these small little flaws, and to celebrate this fidelity to sound that this warmth that we maybe can't capture in our digital technologies. And I think it exposes these things that maybe we originally thought of as flaws as something that's actually really kind of beautiful and maybe more humanizing to it. And so I think the same can be kind of then looked at for orange wine. So we've got a technology that maybe initially seemed out of date, but actually has so much to be celebrated. We got old school, original 1969 Beatles Yellow Submarine, right? Original technology. However, we also have people that Black Keys, very modern, making things kind of utilizing that old school technology. Well, our friends at No Fine Print, I think, are very similar, very new school, right? But utilizing, let's call it old school technology, orange wine. So I like to think of orange wine as kind of grades of skin contact. The more skin contact you have, the more orange we might call the wine. So if there's only a little bit of skin contact, we might call it a baby orange wine. And if there's a medium amount, I like to call them adolescent orange wines. So we might call this a baby orange wine because there actually isn't that much skin contact. But again, you'll see that color. This does have a little bit of effervescence to it, hence the name Lil Fizz. So on the nose, you get this really nice, almost like oxidative sherry kind of quality, but in a really, really beautiful finesse kind of way. Not offensive in the slightest. On the palate, you get a lot of underripe fruit. Think underripe pineapple, underripe peaches, like those hard, bitter, acidic peaches. Maybe a little bit of orange blossom or like day-old lemon, something in that kind of world. And there's a little bit of like a salty sort of quality to it that makes it really delicious as well. I think this would actually pair really nicely with anything in the fish world, or maybe just hummus, especially if you guys are like me and just been going to town on those family packs. It was like a full-blown meal. I think this is going to pair nicely with that. Don't forget to tune in next week. We've got a whole new lineup for you guys. Sarah's coming at you with Pinhook Whiskey out of Kentucky. Super, super tasty if you're not familiar with those guys. And then here are the wines. We've got Arno Roberts out of California. This one, unfortunately, not available on the eShop. Pulled this from my own private collection. So if you do join us for that episode, you'll have to use the old imagination on what that one tastes like. And then we have Le Comte Caché out of the southern part of France. Super tasty. This one is available on the eShop. So if you would like to join along at home, definitely grab a bottle of that. And also just a quick reminder that we launched private Zoom classes. So if you can't get enough of this and this, then check out the link in bio to schedule something if you want something a little bit more detailed and thorough, and especially if you want to share something with friends and family. So definitely check that out. And thanks again for watching. Stay home and stay safe, guys.